Hello, I'm Robert Jones. I'm your host for Powerhouse Podcast, and today we're going to have two men that operate the Drug Free World organization, and their job is to give out free information of what drugs can do to our kids. And we're going to talk about the fentanyl epidemic that is killing millions of people. So stay tuned and learn how you can receive free information and what you can do personally to run interference of this deadly killer of our kids. Thank you and stay tuned.
Welcome to the Powerhouse Podcast, presented to you by SAC Life TV. Here's your host, Pastor Robert Jones.
Hello, I am Robert Jones, your host of Powerhouse Podcast, brought to you by Mosley Collins. And I'd like to welcome to the show two of my good friends, Nathan Johnson and Mike Klagenberg, as well as my dear co-host, Joanne Johnson.
Hi, everybody.
Today, we are going to be talking about an organization called the Drug Free World and what is they're actually doing in the Sacramento area, but not just limited to Sacramento area, actually internationally as well. And so we're going to be talking with them. So Nathan, Mike, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor.
You guys doing all right today?
Good.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Good. So now, Nathan, you are, tell me about yourself, what you're doing, your title, how long you were doing it. Just give me some background.
Well, I've been doing drug education since 1992, the year my son was born. Kind of just happened where a drug rehabilitation group in the Bay Area was looking for people to go to talk to youth about drugs. I said, well, I got some experience with that. My high school days, the 70s.
Yep.
Yeah, right? And I think we were the peak generation, right? The 70s where we had no drug education whatsoever. My drug education was my older brother, who was a dealer. So I thought, well, he was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Nothing bad happened to him yet. So anyway, that came up where I could go to schools. And I said, oh, I first did it in East Palo Alto, talking to the kids who are drug runners themselves. But I fell in love with doing it. Talking to kids and telling them, hey, this is what drugs are. This is what can happen to you. Think about it. What do you really want that to do? You want to go down that road? And then they start asking you questions. And so I fell in love with doing that. So I've been doing it since then. Then in 2010, I met the Foundation for Drug Free World. All these free materials, I was like, wow, this is perfect. I don't have to do, I have to do some research, of course, but all the booklets, the documentary, everything is there free. So I jumped on board with that and when I moved to Sacramento, 2015, I started working with Mike, helped me out get going here, and it's been great.
That's awesome. Yeah. I wish I had somebody like you when I was a kid.
Me too, right?
Yeah. When I was in fourth grade when I smoked weed for the first time.
Fourth grade?
Yep, fourth grade when I smoked weed for the first time, 21 when I overdosed of cocaine and almost died. So I had a lot of years of drug use, but I couldn't agree with you more that so much of when I grew up, we didn't have drug education.
No.
Maybe say no to drugs, but that was like 80.
That was the 80s. That was Nancy Reagan.
Say no to drugs?
Yeah.
Oh, by that time, I was already deep into it, And so there was not a ton. I know, especially in my school, there was none. There was zero education to it.
Yeah.
And now it's really changed. Now it's going into pills and prescriptions, and it's just a whole another beast. Mike, I'd like to welcome you and tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got involved.
Sure. Name's Mike Klagenberg. I'm the Public Affairs Director for the local Church of Scientology here in Sacramento. As a church, we're interested in uplifting the spiritual aspect of life, and it was found in research, our founder found that drugs were pretty much an impediment to one's spiritual and mental progress. So we basically put together solutions to address that so that one wouldn't have to go down the path of experiencing what drugs do and the barriers that they can achieve personally, emotionally, and what have you. And we can work with them more readily and improve them more easily. In the presence of drugs, because of his research, he actually came up with, Mr. Hubbard, L. Ron Hubbard, came up with a detox program called the Purification Program. And it's basically a sweat, exercise, nutrition program to help dislodge the residual drug residues that store in the fat cells of the body, and basically get rid of the long-term effects of what those drugs can bring. So I got involved in that and other societal issues because we just kind of want to uplift the culture around us. And to do that, as Hubbard wrote, the single most destructive element in the society today is drugs. So we felt like it's something that we needed to address, so the church put together a program, used to be known as Drug-Free Marshals, that evolved into the Foundation for a Drug-Free World and the Drug-Free World program with the Truth About Drugs, which is basically booklets and education to educate kids on this is what the drugs do, this is what you can expect to have happen. And then we did that in a multimedia format with videos and those kind of things so that we could accurately inform youth what they're going to experience from taking those drugs. And we think that's an important issue.
Sure. So you say kids. What is it? Starting at what age do you guys start educating kids?
5th grade is where the lowest I go. Usually, I talk to 3rd grades are fun, but 5th grade for sure. Middle school is where I go to mostly to talk to kids because that's where that's when they like you started 4th grade. So yeah. Me, it was 9th grade. So yeah, in that ballpark, you can't wait till they're in 12th grade, obviously.
Sure. Yeah. I connected with what you said because you said you had a brother. Well, my friend, one of my best friend, his brother, had weed and sold weed. So that's how we got it, so we got our hands on it. And how do you go about this? Do you guys get permission from schools to come in, or how do you go about it?
Well, there's two organizations I actually currently work with. The Foundation for Drug-Free World we get the materials to the teachers so they can do it themselves. We have a whole curriculum called right here, the Teacher's Guide, that they can get free online. So
awesome.
Yeah, so it gives a whole 18-lesson curriculum. Okay. I've used this myself on every major drug: marijuana, alcohol, ecstasy, meth, coke, crack, 13 different drugs.
Okay.
So that's the main emphasis of Drug-Free World is get the materials out for teachers and counselors and police officers to use it, right? Not so much to go into the schools per se, but let the people use it themselves.
So you provide it to the teachers, and then they're responsible for the disbursement of that material, teaching the material, etc.
Yeah, it tells them exactly what to do in the curriculum.
Have you found that any of the schools take this curriculum and then they make it part of the school curriculum themselves, or is this something that they do in addition to, or what have you found?
It depends on the locality, but some countries have taken it on for the whole country.
Really?
Yeah.
That is give me some.
South American countries are very much because they have.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny in America. There's a lot of bureaucracy to go through, right? To get these things. You never heard of that?
Right.
Well, we can talk about that sometime. But anyway, yeah, some countries are more open to like, hey, this is a solution. Let's do it. Here, you gotta, but it is being used all over the United States.
But it's more political here.
You got it.
Yeah, and it's individual too. Like the teachers will see this curriculum online. They see the Foundation for a Drug-Free World. Those materials are made available. They can order them free online, and then independently they do things on their own. They will order those and they will put those together and present them in their own classes.
Now, we're both men of faith, but we're of different faiths, right? Mm-hmm. Is this slanted to your faith, or is this factual? How have you guys put this together?
That's a good question.
It's factual. It's based on.
That's what I want. See,
100%. Yeah.
See, a lot of people think because it comes from one place or another that I don't want it because so and so's behind this. Mm-hmm. And this is the thing. Okay, I go on rants, so guys forgive me. So this is like some of the things that drive me crazy is. So many times, if someone isn't like exactly like you, like Mike and I come from a different faith background, but Mike and I agree that drugs are bad. Bad drugs, don't do drugs. We agree on that. So theologically, we don't need to align to agree that drugs are bad.
That's right.
And so many times, because you're in somebody like a different faith or you're a different thought process, you automatically shut your ears to hear anybody else. Because of that. And I think that's where, as human beings, we're a little undeveloped. we're underdeveloped, because we should be looking at this from an objective standpoint, saying, hey, this is truth about drugs. Hey, let's apply this. I don't care if it comes from whomever. If it's factual, it's factual. I know that I went to your site, the Drug Free World. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, wow. The videos that are done like professionally, the information you guys provide. I mean, it is, I mean, honestly, the government ought to pay you guys to come in and do it, because it is so impactful.
Yeah.
So I was really enjoying looking at the material and going through the website and things of that nature. So so that tells you where you guys are. So I was given the DEA website from you guys, which I went to and checked it out. It's DEA.gov/1pill. And it talks about you guys. It talks about the epidemic we have right now of fentanyl. I want to say this, but I'm not sure. I thought I heard some kind of statistic that like fentanyl was the number one killer or something crazy like that last year. And
18 to 45-year-olds is the number one killer. Yeah.
you hear that? You hear that? 18 to 45-year-olds, a killer. And what's crazy is it only takes it's
2 milligrams.
If it's 2 milligrams. So how much is 2 milligrams, you guys? So if you took a pencil,
Yeah.
the old yellow, number 2 pencil, and you sharpened it, if you put enough powder just on the tip of that pencil, that would kill you. That's how little it is. So the amount is so small. And I didn't understand how toxic it was. I was driving my car. I was going through a parking lot it was several months ago, actually. I saw a dude leaning up against a building, and I'm going to say the Holy Spirit talked to me and said, go talk to that man. I actually passed him, and I felt checked, like, go back. So I like put it in reverse, circle back around, went park, and I walked up, and he looked up, and he's got a spoon, and he's cooking drugs. Now we're talking about over there by McDonald's, where Howe and Arden is, right there. He's leaning against the building. He's sitting there cooking the drugs. And I walk up and I say, "Hey man," and he kind of jumps. He goes, "What's up?" And I'm like, "Hey, I'm just a guy." I said, "Can I talk to you a second?" He goes, "Yeah, but stay back." And he goes, "Because if you touch this, it could kill you. If it just touches your skin, it can kill you."
Wow.
And I said, Can you tell me what that is and why you're doing it?" He goes, "Yeah, it's fentanyl." And I said, "Why are you doing it?" And he told me his story, how he lost his mom, and it crushed him. He lost his girlfriend, it crushed him. He had no support. He went to go numb himself.
Yeah.
And he did that through this fentanyl. I tried to get him to give it to me. I said, would you surrender it to me and I'll destroy it? He said no. And I never will forget, the kid's name was Jason. And I tried to get him to surrender. I tried to get, hey, how about if I get you help? Nothing can help me. I'm past that, And it was so hopeless. I drove away from there and I was like, there's got to be something I could do. And I think what we can do is bring awareness to kids and hit them early. Gosh, if this kid, when he was younger, would have known, or if he would have been informed, gosh, what would that look like today?
Well, hopefully he would have looked for some other solution, obviously.
Right.
Go to church. Right?
Yeah, find a community, find a faith community, find, his whole thing is he lost his support structure.
Yeah.
His mom was his support structure.
Yeah.
Then his girlfriend was too.
Yeah.
He lost her. So he was out there with nothing, right? But I'll be honest with you, I was in that same boat. When I was younger, I lost those things in my life, and I turned that way as well. Luckily, it was by the grace of God that I'm here today, right? So that's the big thing. Well, we're going to go into, if you guys are cool with it, we're going to take a quick break, but we're going to go into some of the statistics that's happening and who's being impacted, and can we solve this? What ways can we solve it? And some groups that also we can partner with. So stay tuned. We're going to be right back, and we're going to talk more about the drug problem and what we can do personally and individually to help curb this and possibly save some lives down the road. We would like to thank Mosley Collins for sponsoring Powerhouse Podcast. And if you are in need of any legal help, please dial 916-444-4444. All fours for legal help. Thank you, Mosley, for your support.
Sac Live TV is proud to sponsor the Powerhouse Podcast with Pastor Robert Jones. If you'd like to be a sponsor, please contact us at info@saclife.tv.
Are you looking for substance in your podcast? Look no further. Introducing the Powerhouse Podcast. Join us every week as we delve into politics, religion, entertainment, and education. Don't miss out. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast platform and be part of the Powerhouse Podcast community. For more information, visit our website, powerhousepodcast.net.
Hello and welcome back. I'm Robert Jones, your host of Powerhouse Podcast, and we are talking about drugs and the impact of drugs, not just on our community, but nationally and internationally. We're here with Mike and Nathan, and we're talking about this. So tell me a little bit about the statistics. Tell me about what fuels you to fight it.
Well, you brought up the one that I showed you that I just got this off the internet today because they update it every day. So far, just the first 5 months of 2024, the Drug Enforcement Administration has seized 24,300,000 million fentanyl pills. Now that's just the ones that they seized. How many did they get through? Probably 10 times that, right? That's enough. In 2023, there's enough pills seized to kill 361 million Americans. Isn't that about everybody in the country?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So that's a statistic. But what gets me going every day is, okay, so there was 107,000 people overdosed, I think, in 2021. 70% of that from fentanyl. Do the math on that. That's 295 people a day. In a day, every 5 minutes, someone is dropping dead. Now, we talked about COVID as an epidemic. I don't think the numbers ever got even
close to that.
Not even close to that. But what did we do in the country? We shut everything down. We did everything to stop that virus. Now, here's an epidemic where statistically this is a fact. There's no theory, there's no controversy about it. It's not like, well, where did it come from? No, this is coming from China, through Mexico, to the United States, mostly through the southern border. And these are the Drug Enforcement Administration statistics. So we have that many people dying. So then you think about the numbers, you can't even, it's just too astronomical, right? But you think about each one of those people has a story with a family, like Jason. You imagine, what really gets me is the kids who die, they weren't drug addicts. You heard the stories, right?
Yeah.
There's the famous ones, like Cade Webb from Rockland. His cousin is Logan Webb, San Francisco Giants pitcher. Logan Webb, the pitcher, was getting married. 2 days before he got married, his cousin was found in a Safeway bathroom in Rockland, overdosed from one pill he thought was a Percocet. He didn't make it to the wedding. And Logan Webb had to still do the wedding because he had all these people flying in from all over the country. He had to still do the wedding. Now, great, Logan Webb has now gone on the warpath. If you look him up, man, he's going to high schools and talking to kids. Now you think about those 150, those people who die, those kids who didn't intend on dying. Look those up on YouTube. Look up fentanyl fathers. The fathers now are speaking out. Usually it was always the moms before. Mothers Against Drunk Driving. But now the dads are pissed off and they're speaking out. There's a group called Fentanyl Fathers. Their goal is to go to every high school and tell their kid's story. Can you imagine having to get up in front of a high school and tell your kid your story? How can they do that? Can you imagine having to tell that story to over and over again? That's a lot of courage.
Relive it.
So I watch those videos. I watch them every day because I got to stay motivated, man. Because we can't just sit by. This is the worst it's ever been, ever. If it keeps getting worse, I mean, wow, it's like, and you never know you can't think it's not going to be your kid. Because if you watch these stories of these parents, they had no clue. Their kids were star athletes. They were academically strong. They just made a mistake. When we were growing up, you can make a mistake.
Yeah.
I made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, me too.
I blew my college career from weed and all the other drugs.
Yeah, me too.
And you blew, whatever you had going on, right? But we didn't die because there was no fentanyl going around. So today a kid can take a Percocet or an Adderall or Oxycontin thinking, hey, I'm just going to take one pill. And this is not just once in a while. This is like happening every day.
Was it 107,000 deaths
Yeah.
related to it this year alone?
Well, 107,000 in 2021, 70% from fentanyl. But how many of those were just young people? The one I read just today was tragic. A girl, a 12-year-old girl, this was just this year, came home from school to find her 12-year-old, her 10-year-old brother, her 14-year-old sister dead. Why? Because they took a fentanyl pill. They didn't know it was dead. So this is
It's an epidemic.
it's an epidemic.
It's an epidemic.
And we can't just stand by and just go, oh, that's just the way it is, like what you try to do with Jason. But we're going to get the kids before
They're in that.
you can't let it go that far.
Well, that's why educating these kids at a young age is so important.
Oh, it's fun. And I'll tell you, it works,
Yeah.
Pastor Jones. It works. I just was at a high school recently. I talked to all the kids. It looked like they weren't really tracking with me because they don't show much, they're just kind of sitting there looking at you. But I surveyed them. Every one of them got it, man. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing drugs. So the kids will listen if you talk to them honest and straight. No, no BS, no like trying to scare them even. You don't have to scare them anymore.
No, you just give facts.
You just say, here's the facts right here.
Facts
Man.
are scary.
Here's the facts. I'm not making this up.
So what I was going through these statistics. You sent me that DA website, and I saw where 7 out of 10 pills are
right here.
lethal.
7 out of 10. Yeah.
7 out of 10 are lethal, and so just on those 24,300,000 pills, that's like 17,010,000 deaths.
Yeah.
Like if those would have got on the street, that would have equated to 17,010,000 deaths.
Right. Good.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That
And
is-
it's happening. I mean, it's now the drug addicts, the guys who take drugs every day, it's kind of weird. You can watch videos on this, but they look for the hardcore drugs. They think they can handle it, and some of them can for a while. Eventually, no, but they can handle the hardcore stuff. But a 14-year-old kid who never did a drug before,
Right.
they're
not immune to
They're
it.
dead in 5 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you don't have any Narcan around to revive them, that's another thing people need to know about is if you have teenagers, just get Narcan. It's an over-the-counter remedy for opioid overdose.
Well, you know what bothers me too, guys, is I'm seeing these pills that are being confiscated. They are counterfeit pills
exactly-
of Adderall.
Right.
They're Xanax. They're Percocet.
You can't
They're
tell the
codeine.
difference.
Yeah, they're Oxycontin. I mean, all of these are counterfeit. So these kids are saying, "Hey, I'm tired. I want to focus and study. I got a test. I'm gonna take an Adderall."
Yeah.
And
They got it from their friends.
it's
Got it from somebody.
it's counterfeit. So the deception that's happening in the manufacturing these pills, you're saying they're coming from where?
Well, China, Mexico, but now from Mexico directly too.
So, and they're coming up from our southern border.
Mostly, yeah.
So keeping our borders open is probably
Well, it's only gotten worse in the last few years, so that kind of tells you.
Well, I just saw a report that Newsom is sending 400, National Guardsmen down there to try.
To try to stop
Yeah.
them.
Which that was great. I wish he'd have done that when he first got elected. But since it's an election year, wait, I'm sorry, I'm getting stopped here. Turn back, Jones.
Right.
Turn back. So, what can we do? I mean, these are real people you're talking about. These are kids. These are, you said 17 to 25-year-olds.
Well, the statistic I read, 18 to 45 is the number one killer.
18 to 45.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So basically, you're wiping out a generation.
That's exactly.
You're wiping out a generation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems
by
to be
doing
the
this.
intention. Yeah.
All right. So as far as solving this thing and coming through it, this is the starting point.
Yeah. Education is definitely the way to go.
It is key. It was the whole impetus for the Drug Free World program is that by research it was found that if you could get to the kids and educate them and they hadn't done drugs by the time that they were 18, chances are they would not do drugs after that point. So the key was getting to the kids early. That's why the focus on the kids. And particularly those transition years from elementary school into the junior high school and high school systems is a key point where they get exposed to it quite heavily. So if we can be there and educate them and give them the facts of what this is all about, it would give us a chance or at least a leg up in the kids' mind to make their own self-determined choice to go, yeah, no, I don't want to do that. And we think that's really important.
I mean, with this, epidemic the way it's been, I've even been talking to my daughter. She's almost 16. I said, look, if anybody offers you like any of this stuff, an Adderall, it'll help you focus, it'll help you, don't do it. Because there's counterfeits out there, there's fakes out there. And it's like you said, back in our days, yeah, you may get some weed that was lace funny, or you may get something that was cut, you may get some Coke that was cut wrong, but it didn't kill you. No. You may act crazy for a minute, but it didn't kill you. Nowadays, this is taking kids' lives.
Right.
It's taking a generation's lives.
So a part of the educating that you guys are doing, you're giving them the drug facts. Are you also providing them with coping mechanisms? Like, we know that not all kids do drugs because they're going through tough times. Sometimes they're just experimenting, right? And then they go down the wrong path. Yeah. But for the ones that are going through tough times and they turn to drugs to cope, do you provide them with those tools as well?
That would be a good thing for the church. We do have many introductory type programs to help people, kids, adults with communication problems, with relationship problems, and study problems if they're having study barriers. So there's a myriad of different programs that we have, educational things, and we even offer it free online. We have a whole group called the Volunteer Ministers that provide these free study things that one can use to help improve various aspects of life, whether it's answers to drugs or barriers to study or ethics and the conditions in improving one's moral status, and so on and so forth. We have a lot of study materials available for that. And then the church helps to fund the more secular form of that, which is called the Narconon program. And the Narconon program combines those skills, those life skills that people can need to help them overcome some of the other barriers that happened as a result of going down that path. So yeah, to answer your question, no, most definitely, yeah.
So are you guys funding this? I mean, where's the funding coming from all this stuff?
It's mainly the parishioners of the Church of Scientology and other individuals. Like, we've had very well-known individuals come on board, like the national spokesperson for Foundation for a Drug-Free World is Marshall Falk.
Okay.
So we've got other organizations.
Yeah.
We do that, but through the International Association of Scientologists, we do fundraising all year long. We do a fundraiser every month. All of that money goes to the association, and it goes to help fund those materials, and we make those materials free, available to anybody that wants to use them. So yeah, we do a lot of very intense fundraising to keep the energy together to be able to supply those things.
That that is so admirable. Man, that is what we need to do. I mean, that's really what it's like to be a faith community, isn't it? Like, when you see a problem and our church, we're involved in helping single pregnant women. That's like our thing, right? Mm-hmm. And so you guys are doing this, and I think that's the beauty of having these faith communities that are engaged, and they're not just places you go and sit and give some money, but you actually take that money and you put it back in the community and you help with that, whatever's going on. So
yes.
I think that is amazing. So is there a way, without me, I'm trying not to be pessimistic because I've been doing a lot of research. politically, I'm just struggling with a lot of decisions we're making, laws we're passing, etc. Me personally, I'm just telling you, I am struggling. So, is there something that we can do? Is there committees we could meet with? Is there associations or things of that nature where we could present this information and say, hey, this is free. Would you review it? Would you, let's take time to, like, this is attacking our youth. Would you take the time to review it and possibly make a space in your curriculum for it? Have you guys tried that or went that route? And tell me what happened.
Faith-based community. We reached out quite a bit into the faith-based community. We had a local individual here. His name was Bishop Ron Allen. Had been down that road.
Oh yeah.
And very much talked about it. He was very articulate about it. I love that man. He was very good.
Yes.
Because his main mantra was drugs and drug addiction has no religious preference.
That's right.
And he would cite that. When the drug dealers were dealing to him, they didn't ask him if he was Baptist because he didn't sell to the Baptists, right?
This is true.
It was one of those things that he really articulated that well. So he helped make connections into the community with other faith-based organizations to get these here. And we just want to offer the material to these other organizations like the faith-based community and other organizations too as well to be able to utilize that with no other strings attached. Here you go. Here's the information. Please use it. Let us know your successes with it is all we ask.
Okay, we're going to take another break, but when we come back, I want to ask you guys, do you guys go into areas and train them, and if so, how that works? So stay tuned. We're going to be right back, and we're going to wrap up this talk about drugs in our community and how we can make a difference in it. Thank you. We would like to thank Mosley Collins for sponsoring Powerhouse Podcast. And if you are in need of any legal help, please dial 916-444-4444. All fours for legal help. Thank you, Mosley, for your support.
SAC Live TV is proud to sponsor the Powerhouse Podcast with Pastor Robert Jones. If you'd like to be a sponsor, please contact us at info@saclife.tv.
Are you looking for substance in your podcasts? Look no further. Introducing the Powerhouse Podcast. Join us every week as we delve into politics, religion, entertainment, and education. Don't miss out. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast platform and be part of the Powerhouse Podcast community. For more information, visit our website, powerhousepodcast.net.
Hello and welcome back to Powerhouse Podcast. I am your host, Robert Jones. And again, we would like to thank our sponsor, Mosley Collins. If you need legal help, please contact him at 916-ALL-4s. With me today, we have Mike and Nathan. We're talking about drugs, the impact, and also what they're doing with the drug-free world and the materials that they're supplying and making available. And we've talked about this, and my last question I asked right before break, and I'll reiterate, is there, do you guys do any kind of a training, or do you guys do any kind of town halls, symposiums, etc., for groups or schools or anything like that?
Yes, we do. As a matter of fact, we've had 2 really good trainings here locally where we brought in ministers from other religions. We actually took this curriculum of the Foundation for a Drug-Free World and walked them through the lesson plans to teach them how to deliver it to their different congregations and what have you. And then we had a group of Northern California narcotics rehabilitation individuals that came in and did a training at our church on it. And then there's also a big training that was done down in LA with like the LAPD down there. It was actually very well attended. And then we do open houses to open up and present the information and make it available to anybody in these communities that deal with addiction. And then also we've got another big event that's coming up here locally that's worldwide, where we're bringing in people from all around the world to do a drug training. One of the guys that presents to this is from Boston. He's gotten with driver's education teachers and found that basically driver's education teachers have to provide drug prevention education as part of their training.
Okay.
So he was able to get the materials to different driver's education individuals, teachers, and what have you and stuff, and basically get them hatted up on or trained in these materials on how to deliver these drug education to the kids.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and there's a big demand for it. He's been all around the United States. We attended one conference here locally that this individual put on, and got materials out to some of the more local driver's education teachers and stuff in the area here in Sacramento. So yeah, we definitely make an effort to put that together, and then the big international conference is happening here in the next month.
So you guys said you'd like to get this in schools. It'd be great, but there's some bureaucracy and things like that make it difficult. Do you find that happening on a, is the interference from the government, or is the, being state government and state mandated education? Or do you find the interference is happening at a local level, like with the school boards and the decision makers within the school districts themselves?
Both.
Both. Okay.
You can run into it in both situations, and it's just one of the barriers that we just have to learn how to work through,
Okay.
and work with, and just work with the system that's presented to us and be able to, work within that framework. I know that one of the things that you run into is the need for an outcome-based study associated with your program. And that is a very expensive endeavor. That is not a cheap thing. You have to have a third party, usually a university and stuff, go in and do a whole series of surveys before, after, during, and what have you. And this can cover like a 5-year period of time or more to just go through that approval process. In the meantime, we've got a growing problem, so we've just put our focus on let's get what we've got and let's just get it out there. And then if we can work within the system and make that work, be great. We would love to do that.
So what we need to do is we need to identify someone that this is saved their life, and they're in a doctorate program, and this be their dissertation.
There you go.
And they turn their research work into their doctorate, and then supply us with it, and then there we go, right? That would work, wouldn't it? That would work. So, all right. So,
And that's my unprofessional understanding of it. I don't know the ins and outs of all of it and stuff, but that's my basic understanding of what's required in the schools on getting the materials approved and the outcome-based study to prove the efficacy of the program that you're presenting.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, you would think that if you just give them statistics of, the deaths that are happening and the detriment of the people that it's happening to, you would think that that would be enough proof, but apparently it's not. But that's okay. We'll keep going, won't
I
we?
mean, they can look at the materials and see they're very straightforward. All the referencing materials are listed in the materials, like where the materials came from.
What are some of those
Like
places?
National Institute of Drug Abuse.
Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Agency
Yeah.
and these kind of organizations.
The
and stuff.
people who do the research all day and night.
Sure.
So we didn't have to review the research ourselves. We just take it from there, put it in an easy, they put it, the drug-free world put it in a form you can stick in your back pocket.
Sure.
That's all they, drug-free
But you list the sources where you got the
All the
information.
sources are listed right there, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is, it's like people want proof and studies and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
To make sure it's legitimate.
Yeah, that's good.
Right? Okay. So, I mean, how much proof do we need to say it kills people?
Yeah, this is important. It is.
Does it seem a little silly? I mean, don't you?
Yeah.
Sometimes you feel like you're living in
I think
some
you're
kind of
overthinking things, right?
right.
Yeah.
Like, well, I need proof of that. It's that this program is going to work. Well, it's sure not. I mean, it's not telling them to take drugs, so you would think that it would help no matter what, right? But that's the way.
Well, the
some
most
people
successes
think
come
it's
from individuals, teachers, counselors who recognize exactly what you said.
Yeah.
They look at it,
Apply it.
they read the whole thing, and they go, "Wow, this makes perfect sense."
And it does help. We
And,
know it.
they know it helps.
Yeah.
They've been using it for years. I've met teachers who use it. Oh yeah, I've used that for years. It's great. Kids love it.
We had
But
one.
getting the upper level people to approve stuff, I don't know what the problem is with that.
Well, you guys just you haven't written a big enough check.
There you go.
Yeah.
If you put enough money in their campaign account, they'll pass it.
Okay.
Oh, did I say that out loud? I'm
did.
sorry about that. Sorry about that.
No,
So,
don't apologize. Man.
oh, the truth hurts, man. It gets awful quiet in here sometimes when I make comments. That's all right. all the people that are behind me go, oh, Lord, he said it. So the biggest way that we can help is by connecting the program to entities that are allowing. For instance, my daughter goes to a private school. No government tells us what curriculum. We are governed by our own selves because we pay for the education ourselves.
Right.
That's right.
So something like that, I could come up and say, hey, here is a curriculum about the truth about drugs, and we don't have to get approval from all these these entities that have all the red tape.
That's right.
You can go right to it.
Yeah.
So we could
Absolutely.
any entity that's not government ran, we could be successful.
Yep. Just go to drugfreeworld.org. You can order your own
Yep.
materials for free. No shipping. No nothing. Everything's free. Get it. Use it.
How easy is that?
And we're trying to make it. They're trying to make it as easy as possible.
Man,
No
that-
money down. Just take the materials. Use it. Like Mike said, all we want to ask is, hey, how did it go? Would you tell us
Yeah.
how the success you have, so we can
Keep the fundraising going because people love to hear that.
Yeah, people want
The
to.
guys that fund us, they want to see the success. They want to see that it's making a difference and that they're making a difference and that their dollar
Yeah.
is making a difference out there.
Now, how long have you guys been concentrating on this alone? I mean, how long? How long a journey has this been?
2010 for me.
210.
Yeah.
And how long have you been involved with it, Mike?
I've been involved in this capacity with the church since 2004
2004.
and 32 years as a staff member of the local church.
Wow. Well, guys, thank you for what you're doing. I mean, it is tough when you're pushing a cart uphill, and you guys aren't pushing a cart. You're pushing a train uphill, because this is. Unfortunately, a lot of our laws make it easier for drugs to come in, right? And then once they come in, we're in a reactionary mode and not a preventative mode, right?
Yeah.
That's some of the things that I really try to, like, in our church and in my personal life. I try to be proactive and not reactionary.
Exactly. Yeah.
By the time you're reactionary, it's already happened, right?
Yeah.
But if you can take proactive steps,
That's what this is.
and
Yeah.
then that's something positive. And that's what I like about what you guys are doing. It's something proactive. You're saying, hey, if I get to the kids and inform these kids,
Yeah.
and that's another thing. It's like there's a spiritual side, right? So there's a spiritual side. We're made up of mind, body, and spirit. There's a spiritual side, but then there's an intellectual side. You guys are speaking to the intellectual side.
Right.
Yeah.
You're saying, here's the facts, here's the data.
Right.
Yeah.
Absorb this, right? And so you're really hitting that, and that's something that I see as something very valuable, because kids are smart, man.
Oh yeah, they're smart.
They are.
Kids are
Totally.
extremely intelligent.
Yeah.
We don't give them near enough credit. Now we can make some bad decisions as kids,
Yeah.
but when kids are informed, they're incredibly resourceful.
No.
Yeah.
That to me is 100% true. When I'm at the community events, we have a board called a drug-free pledge board. And one form, the kids come over and I say, hey, you want to be drug-free? Oh, hell yeah. And they sign their name for it. It's never like, oh, I don't know. No, they're like, I'm not doing drugs. So as long as we keep talking to them and reaching them, we're good. We just need to do it more and faster.
Well, I pastor in a very kind of a rough area, and my son grew up in there, and he turned 21. He's 25 now, but he turned 21. So my question to him was, so you're 21 now, you legally can, grab a beer. You've never tasted a beer. Are you going to take the opportunity to try it? He goes, no way, Dad. I've seen too much destruction.
Yeah.
I've seen what it's done to people's life. I have no desire to taste alcohol. None.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right?
That's smart.
And I was just like, there was this big sigh of relief, like, 'cause
Yeah.
my stepdad was an alcoholic. There's alcoholics in my line. So when I saw, I was just like, man, I was relieved. I was like, thank God.
Yeah.
But a lot of that is that exposure. When they see the destruction of it, they go, oh, heck no.
Yeah.
My daughter, I'm always talking to her about it. She says, Dad, you don't talk to me about drugs. I'm not doing that to myself. I just think she thinks she's better than that. But, I don't care what the case is.
That's okay, yeah.
It's, but that information is priceless. Knowledge is power, isn't it?
It is, totally.
Especially if you use it, right?
Have you guys seen, have you guys experienced, and can you share with me where this has been a direct result of someone, where it saved their life, or they've had an opportunity and said no, or did you have any examples of that personally? I know you go in, you drop it, and you leave, and you send it, you don't know, but has anybody contacted you and said, "Hey, this made a difference"?
We have. I'm
got-
sure he's had it, but we had somebody that went through our online site, Foundation for a Drug-Free World. Is somebody that was smoking marijuana, and they saw it, and they just logged on to it for kicks. This is what they wrote into us. They thought they'd get a good laugh out of it, is what they did. And they got through reading it and realized that what he just got through reading described a lot of what he was experiencing in life. And basically wrote back thanking them because he thought that doing this really just saved his life.
Wow.
Which was it's just powerful. And those moments is what we live. That's what we live for. I know that's what he
we
lives for.
legalized weed here in California, and so now it's legally you can smoke it. But what people don't understand is the frontal cortex doesn't fully develop till age 26, and yet these kids smoking weed, it attacks their frontal cortex. It actually kills the cells in the frontal cortex, which is the place that you make decisions. You make decisions. So someone that does high drug use, they will have actually pattern in their frontal cortex where there's a deterioration of the cells that help make decisions. Yeah. So, if you think about this from a medical standpoint, it is so important to get to our kids. It's important that we cut through red tape. It's important that we do this because these kids' brains are being developed, and these drugs are attacking them. And if they survive that long, it may kill them. And don't tell me marijuana is just marijuana. No, it leads to other drugs. Right. And I can say that because I started at fourth grade smoking marijuana. And at 21, I overdosed of cocaine. I've done LSD. I've shot cocaine up. I have done mushrooms. You name it. I've been there, done that. So don't tell me it's just marijuana, because I started smoking weed, and I ended up almost dying. So I can tell you, I'm a case study. I can tell you it doesn't stop with marijuana, and then pills come into it.
Yeah.
So.
And I know Nathan may have some stories about some kids that he's addressed.
Well, my main thing is, it's true. I go in a classroom, I talk, and I don't see those kids, but I often have them write what they got out of it, and that's what keeps me motivated. Like, they did listen, and they decided, okay, I'm not. Well, I have actually had kids, actually now that I think about it, who were smoking weed and said, okay, I'm not smoking weed anymore. I'm done. After I didn't try to just tell them the facts. Here's the facts. Mm-hmm. Here's what happened to me. Here's what happened to that guy. Mm-hmm. You want that? So
that's
you got to get them to think for themselves, right?
So we're going to be posting. We're going to put you guys' website there on how to get this information. Cool. Maybe you're a church. Maybe you have you're a community lead of some sort, of some kind. Whatever the case may be. Maybe you know someone. Maybe you know a school board member you could talk to. Maybe your kid goes to private school and you want to bring it to the school board. Whatever the case may be, you guys, this is material that can change a kid's life, save a kid's life. And right now, our kids are under attack.
Yeah, we're under attack.
If you've been watching our podcast, we've been talking about some of the things happening in our culture and society, and our kids are under attack. And this is another form of attack. And so, well, gentlemen, I really thank you for being here. It's been a pleasure having you. You brought some real insight. I've learned a lot, and thank you for the time.
Well, thanks for sharing your story, man.
Yeah.
Hey, it's real, man.
Yeah.
It's real. It's real. That. By the grace of God, I'm here. I could be.
Me too.
I could be one of these statistics.
Yep.
And I don't know why I'm here, but I am.
Well, you know why you're here, man.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it's for things like this, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it is.
So, yeah, things just like this.
Absolutely.
So again, gentlemen, thank you so
Thank
much
you,
for
Pastor.
being here, and we look forward to our future
Yeah.
relationship. And I want to get some of this information myself.
Yeah, I'll come talk to your church myself.
Our youth leader's sitting right there,
Okay.
so we're
good.
going to provide it to her as well. And so thank you guys for tuning in. hopefully you guys learned something today, and if nothing else, it's brought some awareness to you about the dangers out there for our kids. Again, drug-free world. Check it out. We're going to have the website on there, and there's free information. Please go check it out. Maybe not only your kid could be saved, but someone that you love dearly can be. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you being here. God bless. Have a wonderful day.
God bless.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Powerhouse Podcast. If today's conversation resonated with you, remember to subscribe, rate, and review us on your preferred podcast platform. Your feedback helps us in our mission to engage in deep conversations that impact mindsets and create a practice of introspection. Do you have an idea or a topic for a show? Message us at php@saclife.tv. Remember, your voice matters, and together we have the power to influence positive change in our world.